Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. I am Jacob Milham, joined today by my illustrious co-host, the one and only Jeremy Greco. Jeremy, it is January 8th, and we have a lot to talk about on the Royals front today, huh?
More than I thought we were going to when I woke up this morning, that's for sure.
It's lovely how that happens sometimes. We just get material falling into our lap, and I absolutely love it. So, folks, we got arbitration, we got FanDuel Sports Network issues, and plus we're starting off our positional depth review. I think I kind of want to call it that, and we'll explain that. Discussion, yeah, is a good way to look at
review.
it. Yeah.
Review of the discussion.
No,
First, we can have a discussion, and then we can review the discussion. Then we can discuss the review. Then we can review the discussion of the review of the discussion.
Yes, precisely. I think that's the way to go, Jeremy. Okay, we really have to stretch this offseason content, everyone. But we're going to start that off with the catchers, but that's later on in the episode.
Let me tease you. I got one catcher that we decided to go 8 catchers deep, and my number 8 catcher is actually a little interesting to me. I'm a little interested to see what happens with him.
Okay, all right. I'm excited to hear that name. We haven't shared our list with each other, everyone, so our reactions are going to be genuine when we get to that. I want to jump right into it. Today was the arbitration deadline, so if teams were going to come to an agreement to avoid arbitration hearings with their arbitration-eligible players, today was the deadline to get that done. So we did. If you see all these, this team has signed this player to like a $2 million deal. That's what that is. It's folks come to terms with guys that they already had under team control, but it's how much that guy is getting paid that is up for some negotiation. As we sit here today, there are only 2 guys who remain unsigned, which is surprising. The Royals have not went to arbitration with a player since 2023, and that was Brady Singer. I say it's surprising because, it's been so long. This isn't something the Royals tend to do. That's all.
Well, and that was one of Dayton Moore's big things was don't ever go to arbitration with anybody. One person ever went all the way to the arbitration hearing with Dayton Moore. Do you remember who that was?
No, I really don't.
You want to take a guess? You're never going to get it, but give me one guess, Jacob.
Alex Gordon?
Like Emil Brown.
I would not have gotten that in 50 years.
No.
But I think the 2 who remained unsigned makes sense because I think that they have the most value out of this arbitration group. And that is pitcher Chris Bubich.
Got the most ground to argue. Like if the Royals just come to them and they're like stats, and they're like, but you think I'm going to do better than that this year. I think I'm going to do better than that this year. I'm giving you more value than those raw stats might suggest.
Right. Exactly. And, we'll see how the negotiations go, right? I remember hearing all like the negative press after Singer and the Royals went to their arbitration hearing. I don't like this is one of those things that I don't know if there's a healthy way to come out of it unless the team ponies up.
The only way you come out of it okay is if the player understands that this is a business and that what the team is saying in the arbitration hearing is to make their argument, not even necessarily because they believe it, but because they need to say it to the arbitrator in order to potentially win their case. Chris Bubich and Vinny Pasquantino, I'm just going to yank that away from you. Yoink.
Please do. Yoink.
And Vinny, to me, is a guy who's shown in his, we've already talked about some of his reality of the business conversations he's had, both with, I'm not the kind of player right now who gets an extension. And he's also talked about, a salary cap would benefit me, but it would be bad for the sport, so I'm against it. Whether you believe that that's true or not, he's looking at this from a business perspective in every direction. So I think he'll be fine. Chris Bubich, I don't honestly know. He's not on social media as much, so I'm not really sure what his vibe is. But, you have to, like you said, it makes a lot of sense. Chris Bubich is a guy who has been out for huge chunks of each of the last 3 seasons, but looks like an ace when he's healthy, was still one of the most valuable pitchers in all of MLB last year, even missing the last half of the season. So that's the thing is like, well, we don't know if he's going to pitch. Yeah, but when I do pitch, I pitch really good. So how do you find that middle ground? And then Vinny Pasquantino, we talked about sacrificing walks for some power. The stats, the WAR doesn't love his defense. First basemen get dinged on their defense. So, some of those numbers aren't saying that he's as valuable as I think we both agreed that we think he's more valuable than WAR says he is. So yeah, it makes sense, like you're saying, that these two guys would go to arbitration.
Yeah, and I'm not thinking that they're going to, come out of it much better than their projections. I think most of these guys are going to settle for around their projected salaries, and neither one of these guys are going to break the Royals bank, excuse me. I think that, the Royals might be trying to get cute. We've heard about the payroll, the quote unquote payroll constraints. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but one of the things that came up was us signing Jonathan India, agreeing to a contract with him in his last year of arbitration that really put our payroll in a bind, and we have to evaluate shedding payroll at that point. I listen. They
They've got
say
the payroll to shed, though.
they do. So I just hope that they don't try and get cute. Like that's all, because there is a point where you can slight the player enough to where that sours the relationship, and especially with a guy like like both guys are different cases. Chris Bubich heading into his last year of team control. Well, if you want any chance of retaining him beyond this year, you don't want to sour that relationship. Meanwhile, Pasquantino, this is his first year of arbitration, but he is such a vocal member of the Royals, I would say, community at this point. He's not a fan, but he's a part of the community as a player. And you don't want to sour that relationship to make it seem like the team is not on his side, if that makes sense, Jeremy. Just to, before we take the football, I do want to run down who the Royals came to terms with real quick. So Kyle Isbell, Bailey Falter, John Schreiber, Nick Mears, Michael Massey, and Daniel Lynch fourth. Michael Massey and Daniel Lynch the fourth, notably under their projected salaries by a good amount. I think Kyle Isbell was right at his projected amount.
If you give me the amount, I can tell you if where he was projected for 2.7.
Okay, Kyle Isbell got 2.7 according to Annie Rogers. Bailey Falter got 3.6 million, which I think was a little high.
Projected at 3.3.
Okay. John Schreiber, 3.7.
Projected at 3.8, so almost bang on.
And then finally, Nick Mears at 1.9.
Don't have his projection because
he was on the Brewers when
the Royals Review did the projection. Wrote down the projections, and I don't know where to find them elsewhere.
That's fine. So overall, we knew that this was going to be a big arbitration class for the Royals, and they already agreed to contracts with some of the other guys earlier on. We talked about Jonathan India, James MacArthur comes to mind. But the process to this point is done. Now we are going to watch a little bit longer and see what comes out of the possible arbitration hearings with Chris Bubich and Vinny Pasquantino.
Yep. And the good news is, no matter what happens, they'll be, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say, whatever happens, they'll be Royals in 2026. But as we all know, it feels, some people out there are saying, it feels almost inevitable that Chris Bubich will get traded. I try not to listen to Coffin Quarter on Thursday mornings, but I couldn't help myself today.
Yeah.
And they were, what's his face there? David Lesky. Yeah, the guy I always talk about. I forgot his name. He was like, maybe it becomes Jaron Duran for Chris Bubich straight up at the rate that players or that teams are trying to get pitching, and how much they have to pay for pitching, and what's going on with all those deals. And I would do that for sure. Like, Chris Bubich is my favorite player. You want to do Jaron Duran for Chris Bubich straight up? I think that's incredibly reasonably fair for the Royals. It's probably a bit of an overpay by the Red Sox, honestly.
Yeah.
But again, they do get the benefit. They give up 3 years of Duran for 1 year of Bubich in that scenario. They do get the benefit of the offer, the qualifying offer, which either gets 2 years of Bubich or get you a draft pick. So
yeah, that's a good way to look at that. Moving on, some other money related things to talk about. So we touched on the whole situation with FanDuel Sports Network later on last year, I don't think we touched on it at all with our in our last episode. But things have been moving very, very quickly. And today we got a big development that 9 Major League Baseball teams televised by FanDuel Sports Network, they've all terminated their contracts, all no connections with them and Main Street Sports Group, according to The Athletic, anymore. This includes the Royals, of course, but also the Braves, Reds, Tigers, Angels, Marlins, Brewers, Cardinals, and Rays. Not a lot of heavy hitters in that group, but when you have nearly a third of a major sport coming out of this agreement, that is a seismic move.
Close to half if you include the teams that had already left FanDuel
Yes.
and we're in house with MLB. And by the way, we hadn't discussed this ahead of time, but there was, I think it was yesterday, it might have been 2 days ago, kind of the announcement leak, whatever, that ESPN is not going to do local broadcasts until 27. So
Right.
whatever they can still renegotiate a new deal with FanDuel, but whatever they're going to do, they're going to have to figure it out in a hurry because ESPN's not the answer.
No.
And they got to broadcast these games for 26. And heck, we've talked about this. We don't know how many games we're going to get in 27.
Right. And this is, this might be a big nothing burger, right? This might not really affect how you watch the team at all after opening day.
It is not the first time that baseball clubs have cut ties with FanDuel. And then last time, a lot of them re-signed with FanDuel, renegotiated those contracts. And that could very easily happen this time too. But FanDuel has already defaulted on the Cardinals, and
They also did the Marlins.
they're threatening to declare bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So it's just a giant mess, and it
Yes.
might be impacting free agency, which is why we're still seeing Cody Bellinger and Bo Bichette and everybody's still out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will say that from what I've read, from what I'm hearing, I'm not really worried about this affecting the access to Royals games after opening day. Just me personally.
Yeah, I assume we've still got almost 2 months till spring training.
Yeah.
3 months till the beginning of the season, more than 3 months, 3.5 to 4 months till the beginning of the season.
No, we got a little less than 3 months.
Right. Sorry, I was like, January to April that's the 4th month. And no. So anyway, so they've got time to figure this out. They've been through this before,
Yes.
like we said, other teams have dropped FanDuel and MLB picked it up. So I figure they're ready to go in a couple different directions. It's just a matter of figuring out which one they're going to do, and then they'll figure it out because this is important. And we're like, there's so much going on, but they've got all the money and people they need to throw at it to solve the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I will say that we think that about the Royals and their stadium situation, but lo and behold, look at where they're at.
Boy, oh boy. We didn't say we were gonna talk about that, but since you
Didn't.
brought it up real quick, just
Yeah,
for people
that's
who
my
aren't
bad.
on social media, Kansas basically said, "Yeah, we're giving the Chiefs so much money, we don't wanna give the Royals money," and, North KC came out this morning and said, "Yeah, we've pretty much moved on too." So, good news, the Royals are probably staying in Kansas City, probably looking at a downtown location, which is what a lot of you wanted. Hey?
Yeah, maybe.
I know
Hopefully.
that this means that I told my dad the other day, I don't know which is gonna happen first. Are the Royals finally gonna figure out where they're going, or am I gonna lose my mind from people insisting that they could move to Nashville? They're not. They're not
No,
moving to
they're not.
Nashville, y'all. Even if they have to take an unfavorable deal to stay in Kansas City, they'll stay in Kansas City because these people are all from Kansas City. There's already an established fan base in Kansas City, a strong fan base in Kansas City.
Yeah.
There's no reason there's no benefit to moving. Nashville's not going to give the Royals some kind of sweetheart deal to move there. It's not going to happen.
No, and they already he did that with the Titans. With their they just recently got a stadium deal. So this is, I don't foresee Nashville really being able in a situation to feasibly pull this
Well, and
off. That's why it's so annoying.
when we started this whole process a couple of years ago now, I looked up like Nashville had a community benefits agreement that they forced the soccer team to agree to. And I don't know what they did with the football team, if they made them do the same thing, but I would assume that they would want something very similar from the Royals.
Yeah.
And then the other option, people are like, "Oh, they could go to Portland," and the Mariners would not like that. The Mariners would shout and scream about it. So you're not gonna get an agreement to let you move there. It's just they're gonna be in Kansas City. That's the only place where it makes sense for them to be. Building a stadium is still a profitable venture, however they figure it out. Even if the team ends up having to pay for it, it's profitable for them. If the
Yeah.
team ends up having to pay for a lot of it, maybe they cut salary in order they go, "Oh, we can't afford the salaries," and maybe we get to go back to, late 90s, early 2000s baseball again, but they're gonna be in
Woohoo.
Kansas City.
Yeah, that they will. Don't sound so excited about that, Jeremy. Going back to late
I
90s Royals
listen,
baseball.
none of this
Yeah.
matters to me. My mom asked me the other day, she's like, "If the Royals do move out of Kansas City, what are you gonna do?" I'm like, "I'm not sure. If they move to Tennessee, like, I would probably be in the blackout area, so I don't know if I could keep watching them. I might have to pick a new team."
Yeah, I might too. Yeah, and I don't know. Just the league's not in a position right now to be looking at another team moving right now. You know what I mean? You saw this with the Athletics, right? Like they can't even get a trademark for
Yeah.
their new city and team name.
Goodness, yeah. Well, that's
Come
that's
on.
on the Athletics for having the name Athletics, but
Well,
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Most people don't realize how much of their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it together at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/secure. Protect yourself now at aura.com/secure.
O'Reilly. Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
it is, but it just shows they still kind of got to get their shit together. But all right, now that we're done with that tangent, let's go ahead and look at these catchers, Jeremy.
All right.
You
So-
had a spot to look at them?
Yeah, I didn't mention this before, but I want to steal one more thing from Kaufman Corner.
Okay, let's hear
They
it.
have an organization to doing these rankings that I really like. So
Okay.
here's what I'll do. Here's what we'll do is I'll ask you for your first, right? Give me your
Okay.
top most important, whatever ranking system you're using, catcher, and then you'll talk about him and I'll tell you what place I have him on my list if he's on my list. And then if we haven't done my first, I'll give my first and then your second. And then I'll tell, and we'll go back and forth like that. And, if your first is my third, then when we get to my third, we just go, well, I said my third already, so we skip this and move on. So how does that sound?
We will try it out. You might have to
I'll
handhold
make
me
it
through
happen
it.
as we go. It'll work. I
There we go.
promise.
I
All
like
right.
it.
So
I like it.
who's your top catcher, your number one catcher on this depth chart exercise that we're doing?
So I do want to clarify something for our listeners. So when you say a depth chart of the most important, Jeremy, what do you mean? Are we just looking
So
at 2026 or 2027 and beyond?
I ranked them according to my gut feeling for all of the above. Like
Okay.
how, where are they on the actual roster depth chart? How much are they going to contribute to the Royals winning in 26? How much are they going to contribute to the franchise's ability to compete in the future? All of that stuff. I tried to take it all into account.
Okay. All right. So I'll go and start it off with a pick that shouldn't surprise anyone. Salvador Perez is my number one on the depth chart. The team captain. I still believe that he is going to be the opening day catcher. The Venezuelan, he went down to the Venezuelan Winter League. He absolutely performed very, very well, and I'm expecting a better season from him in this in this lineup, maybe where he doesn't have to wear so much of the burden. And if folks believe, oh, well, go look at the back of the baseball card, he regressed. It is still worth reminding folks that what Salvador Perez could control at the plate, he was one of the most underperforming players when it comes to the difference between his real world stats and his expected stats. So I'm looking at the expected stats. I'm still seeing a very valuable batter there in Salvador Perez. That's why he's my top guy.
So I had Salvi as my number 2 catcher.
Okay.
And so I bet you can guess who my number 1 catcher is.
I do think it is a local prospect, I believe.
Yeah. So that's it's going to be Carter Jensen. And the reason I think he is the most important catcher for the Royals is because, first of all, he may not be the opening day starting catcher, but he could very well be the opening day designated hitter.
He could.
And the thing about Carter Jensen is if he succeeds, I think he not only improves the lineup through his own power, but he makes Salvador Perez better. Because I don't know if you've realized this, Jacob, but Salvador Perez on the day after he didn't catch, so day off, first base or designated hitter, was a much, much better hitter last year than days after he caught. So not that we're on days he caught, he could still be good, but the day after he caught, he was bad. So Carter Jensen, if he can take a lot of that catching load off of Sal, and we could talk about what we think is the appropriate playing time split, but if he could take, even if he's not, and he's almost certainly not going to be as good for a full season as he was in September, even if he's not, though, he can really drastically help the Royals out by making Salvador Perez a better hitter. And if he can be, better than Freddie Fermin and be competent at defense, then you're cooking with gas, basically.
Yes, fully agree. Full stop. And Carter Jensen, of course, was my number 2 choice.
Yeah.
Jeremy, it's kind of time to skip on down there to number 3. And who do you have there?
This is where we're going to get a little bit more interesting. You want to start with my number 3?
Yes, please.
All right. So my number 3, I think this is still kind of on the obvious side. It starts getting a little more interesting. See, it's like everyone wants to think about Carter Jensen and Salvador Perez because those are the guys, right? And that makes sense. But this is where the exercise gets more interesting is when you get to the lower levels. But my number 3 is Blake Mitchell because he's either one of the Royals' top prospects or he's a guy that they're going to trade to get a really good hitter. We've kind of talked ad nauseum about him. The Royals took a huge risk on him. They could have had Kyle Teal, who's already in the big leagues. They chose to go with Blake Mitchell instead. This is not hindsight. A lot of people said when the Royals came up in the draft, they should take Kyle Teal now. But Blake Mitchell still has a lot of upside built into him. Kind of had a lost year last year. So if he doesn't get traded, this is going to be a very important season for him to prove that the power is not permanently gone, that it really was just a hamate bone injury. And we'll have to see what happens if he's still in the Royals organization, which I think is a pretty big if, because again, if the Royals want to trade for an impact bat, Blake Mitchell is probably going to have to be part of that package.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you bring up the injury with Blake Mitchell, and that is, I've brought up before that you go look at the Arizona Fall League and his production wasn't there, but he was still hitting the ball hard,
Mhm.
the hardest amongst that crop of prospects, which is some of the best in the game. And we're at a point right now where Blake Mitchell, he has to produce as a prospect. He can't ride I was a first round pick, and I'm not saying he is, but you can't do that in a trade package and say, well, he's a former first round pick. Like that was almost 3 years ago now.
I
He
don't
has to
know.
produce at
The
this point.
Cubs went and got Edward Cabrera off of Owen Casey, who did not look good in his major league debut because of
That
his
is fair.
prospect pedigree.
That is fair. That is fair. But I do also bring that up because I think that Mitchell's prospect pedigree is trending down. Like that's at least what I'm understanding and hearing. I'm not saying he's completely out of like the top 150 prospects in baseball, but
Mhm.
he was like a fringe top 50 guy at this point last year. Now I don't even know if he's going to be in the top 100. So we'll see. 26 is going to be a big year for him no matter what. And
Where
just
was he on your list?
he was number 3 on my list
Okay.
as well.
All right, so now things get interesting, Jacob.
Well,
Who's
I
your
think
number 4?
we might match up with number 4 again.
I bet we don't. Let's see.
Really? Ramon
Yeah.
Ramirez?
No, that's not who I have number 4.
Really? Okay. Well, let me go
I
and
got
talk
him
about
number
Ramon
5.
Ramirez. Okay, gotcha. So Ramon Ramirez is, number 7 prospect on the Baseball America list right now in the Royals system. He was he was another guy who he did take a little bit of a step back statistically in his first taste in Colombia, but I mean he came away from it with still very good bat to ball skills. 70 games for the Fireflies, like a good amount of playing time. Had 11 home runs for them with 36 walks to 65 strikeouts. Not too bad. A 442 slug. This is let's be clear about one thing. Ramon Ramirez is a bat over catching type prospect, right? Like he is someone who could just as easily transition to first base, I imagine, and still bring the similar value to the team overall. I'm not going to say he's a 25 to 30 home run threat or nothing like that, but he does have some present tools right now. He did also deal with injuries last year. I think that he's going to start off this season in high A quad cities. So I'm excited to see what we get from him, but he still has a lot to go at this point in his career.
In my notes for Ramon Ramirez, I basically put Blake Mitchell, but further away.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's a good way to describe it.
He's a good prospect. Didn't get drafted in the same way. Hasn't had the injury, but he's also younger and a little bit further away. Lots of really promising tools. Not somebody I'm super relying on right now.
Okay, so then who's your number 4?
Remember a couple of years ago, we're talking about that guy who hit 50 home runs in the minor leagues, and then the next season he was gone. Can't remember his name anymore. Even
MJ Melendez.
No, not Melendez.
Nearly.
It was another guy who was in low A.
Drawing a blank.
Sully
Matias. That's right. Forgot about him. See, there you go. That's just how it goes being a prospect sometimes.
Yeah.
So
all right. So my number 4, based on my completely scientific formula of importance and talent and all of these things, my number 4 is Jorge Alfaro.
Man, okay.
Who was signed by the Royals just a few days ago. He's a major league free agent that they signed to a minor league deal with an invitation to spring training. Alfaro has a little bit of a prospect pedigree. When he came up with the Phillies in 2018, he was ranked as their 8th best prospect with a 45 future value. Those first couple of seasons in Philly, he looked pretty good. He was very well regarded defensively, and he hit close enough to good that it worked out. I looked him up. He's not played full time ever since. He's kind of bounced around. He's not been as good. He's going to be 33 this year. And he's still got really good pop time. And he's got, I believe I saw he had good plate discipline. Might be good bat speed. I mean, just check my notes again. I can't remember which one of those things it was. Good bat speed. So his plate discipline's still not good. But he is the Luke Bailey, the Sandy Leone, the Austin Nola, the third veteran catcher that they're going to stash in Omaha.
Yeah.
in case of emergency. And that's why he ranks so high, is that I expect we'll actually see him play this year for the Royals. And he's got a little juice if they think they could fix something that, 7 other teams haven't been able to fix the last few years.
Yeah, that
He's
part.
got some defensive ability. He's got a little juice that, if you can unlock something and maybe it works. Don't hold your breath on that, but yeah, so he comes in at number 4 for me.
Okay. I got him at 8. Like
Okay.
I got him way down the list.
That's fair.
The only reason why I have him so far down the list is because I don't even know if he's going to be the Luke Maley. I don't.
Mhm.
There's no tool that he has shown over the past few years that says yes, that is going to help as a third catcher right now. He's a below average framer. He does have a strong arm. He does have a very good pop time.
Framing is less important than ever now. Well, not
Yes,
ever, but maybe ever.
well, I would say ever, but it is still an important. It could still it
Mhm.
could still prevent plenty of runs.
Mhm.
And like it's just one of those things. I don't see something that jumps off the page at me about Jorge Alfaro. I think at very worst he's going to be a very good camp body. I think he's going to be a very good veteran option to have, but he does have to turn a lot of things around at once to stay in the Royals organization in my mind.
So, my number 5 was Ramon Ramirez. Who do you got for
Yep.
number 5, Jacob?
I got a guy who I would like to be my number 3 catcher, and when the season comes around, that's Luca Tresh.
All right.
As
That's
I've
my number 6.
okay, see it just works out.
Yeah, you just had Ramon Ramirez higher.
Yeah, that's all. Luca Tresh is a guy who I was banging the drum a little bit ahead of the Rule 5 draft. Thankfully, he was not picked up. I think that he would be a very good, not very good. I think he would be an acceptable backup catcher on a major league roster in 2026. His expected numbers were very good in AAA Omaha. I do understand that is a bat friendly environment, and that gap between AAA and Major League Baseball is very, very big right now. But he looks good behind the plate. He stayed healthy, and really he was a more widely known prospect, I would say, not higher regarded. Like he was a fringe top 30 guy, younger in his career, but he had one bad season in Double A, and his prospect pedigree just never really rebounded from that, even though the results have been solid since then. I think he at least deserves a chance in Major League Baseball to prove himself, but I got him down at number 5.
Yeah, and I've got, like I said, I've got him at number 6. Basically everything you just said. In my notes I wrote about him that he will be the first guy up if it's not Alfaro when Perez and Mitchell, or excuse me, if Jensen or Perez get hurt.
Right.
So yeah, there's some stuff there. I just pulled him up on TJ Stats to look at his StatCast numbers in Omaha. He ranks well in barrel percentage, zone swing percentage, launch angle, sweet spot, pull air.
Yeah.
So pull air, he's getting the best value out of his swing. There might be something there. We'll see. At a 789 OPS in AAA last year.
We shall see. He's one of those guys. I feel like it's very similar to how we were talking about John Rave at this point last year.
Yeah.
Like
Probably.
he might not be a difference maker, but just give him a shot, at least see how it goes. Keep moving.
Yeah. All right. So again, I had Tresh as my number 6. So who's your number 6, Jacob?
Well, who'd you have your number 5? You had Ramirez as your number 5, correct?
Yeah.
Want to make sure we're not skipping over anyone. Okay.
Nope.
So my number 6, I doubt you link up with me on this. Moises Marchand.
I didn't even see that name when I was looking through here.
Well, I'm much more on the what's it called? I'm looking at upside at this point, right? Like these aren't guys who are close to Major League Baseball. So Marchand, he's a member of the 2025 Royals International free agent class. Baseball America had him as the organization's 23rd best prospect in 2025. He didn't blow the world away in the Dominican Summer League. Came away with a 296 batting average, 388 slugging. No home runs, but 6 stolen bases and 7 extra base hits. That's it's really tough to judge a 17-year-old and say, yes, this is going to be a future big league impact guy.
I will say he didn't strike out that much.
He did not, and that's one reason why, like, okay, it's not hard to watch Dominican Summer League games because they're live when the season's going on, right? It's hard to find them at this point of the year, for me at least. But what I did find is he looks comfortable behind the plate. I really like his swing. When that bat moves, it moves with a purpose. The bat to ball skills are good. He doesn't put it over the fence, but like this, I could see him growing into more of a home run hitter. And at the very least, he moves pretty well for a catcher at this age. So he could be an extra base threat in that manner. So that's why I got him down there.
All right.
Who do you got?
All right, so that was your number 6. My number 6 was Tresh. So we'll go to my number 7.
Yes. All right.
Do you have him on your list at all?
I have 9 and 10. I have him at 10.
Okay, I only went to 8, so I don't have any extras.
Sorry.
Hyung-Jae, if you don't remember out there, he was is he Korean? I can't remember. Korean or Japanese?
Yes, Korean.
And signed with the Royals. He was set to become a high draft pick for the KBO, the Korean baseball organization, and instead signed with the Royals as an international free agent. He's looked pretty good, at least statistically at the plate. I haven't been able to find any video of him. And he's just a well-regarded kind of prospect guy. You know, he was one of the better pickups for that year of the draft, the Royals draft. He's actually ranked 22nd according to FanGraphs on the Royals organization with a future value of 40. They think he could have a little bit of an above average power. He's made it to high A and he's held his own. He's not been a terrific hitter, but he's held his own. He takes his walks. He strikes out a little bit too much, but he doesn't hit it on the ground, which is nice. For if you don't got any speed, get it in the air. And at this, like you said, we're looking at projection right now, and he is a 21-year-old who just played in high A for the second year. He's gonna have to start moving if he's gonna be anywhere. His ETA, according to FanGraphs, is also 2027. So his last update was 2024. You know, this is all out of whack, probably.
Yeah, very much so.
We'll see. He's a guy that I remember being really excited about when the Royals signed him, and honestly, I didn't see a ton to be excited about after the obvious names, so he made my list.
He is. I'm trying to think of how to word this, because he's a guy who does not strike out a ton. That is something that he has made big improvements in over the past few years. Like you even look at 2024, his first stint in low A, he had a 28.3% strikeout. And then this past year, he had a 20.6% strikeout rate. And compare that to double-digit walk rate, that's a very, very good ratio for any hitter to have. He's not a huge swing and miss guy. He just doesn't make a lot of quality contact right now, which
the swinging strike rate's been coming down consistently also.
It has. And he puts the ball in play at a good amount. It's just doesn't do a lot of damage right now. And like that has been a consistent thing in his professional career so far, albeit it's only been since 2023. He has a couple of hundred games to his resume right now. Not saying this is all he is. I have concerns about the hit tool. That's all. And he hasn't shown me anything that says, yes, he can improve upon it or will improve upon it, if that makes sense.
Do you know anything about his defense? Because, we don't have any. Have you seen any video or heard anything? We don't have anything on FanGraphs, of course.
He looks okay behind the plate. I don't have metrics to back this up or anything like that. He's a guy who is athletic enough to stick behind the plate, but I don't know if that's like the best spot for him. He's just a catcher who is going to get playing time because he's a catcher, but ultimately you would like for his bat to develop to make it so, okay, well, we have to get this guy in the lineup every single day. I don't know,
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1. Most people don't realize how much of their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, and even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it together at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/secure. Protect yourself now at aura.com/secure.
His values with this bat. He's a bat overcatching sort of guy. Let's see here.
Yeah.
That was your.
That was my number 9.
Nope. That was your number 9?
Yeah.
Was?
Sorry, excuse me, 7. My number
What was your
7. I
number
got
9?
confused. I was like, the end of this will be 10, but it's the end. He was my second to last.
Well, I had it. I have a little Google Doc sheet pulled up, and I got all the top 8 guys listed out. And I have number 9 and I have number 10 down there. And the header for that one is really want to believe in. Like is a guy that I like. I would really like to see him blossom into something more. It's just he's gotta do it. That's what it boils down to.
He did. I don't know if you saw this. He did play in he did play for Brisbane in the Australian Baseball League.
He did. I
And he was
can't remember if it was
negative
last year.
4. He was 4.4 years younger than his competition, and he hit the daylights out of the ball there.
He did. He absolutely did. He's just a guy. I'm trying to think how to word this. I am discounting him a little bit just because of his age at the level. That's all.
And that's why I brought up the Australian Baseball League, because that's a level where he is younger than the competition.
Right. And man, when he the way that he extends his hands out when he's swinging, I think that's something that can be tightened up and would have some immediate impact on his stats. He does have a pretty swing outside of that. Like he's a very pretty follow through.
Always give me someone with a pretty swing.
Yeah.
I'll believe.
You'll believe in it.
I think pretty swings translate because it's not just about the aesthetics. The reason we see it as a pretty swing is because it's smooth and it's long through. When you look at a swing and you go, that's a pretty swing, the reasons that make it pretty are the things that also make it mechanically sound.
Yeah. Like here, I'm gonna send you a link to this so you can.
And he's
watch
a righty,
it.
so it's not
Yeah.
common to see righties with pretty swings.
I think it's a very pretty swing. Maybe that is up to the eye of the
beholder. Check this out. I'll be the judge. I'll be the judge of this. If it'll load. We hit a home run in this one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
See?
That was some easy power that time.
It was. So we will see how the quality of contact improves in 2026.
Yeah.
I think that's where I need to see.
It does make me wonder, first of all, Drew Saylor got fired. Why did Drew Saylor get fired? Because guys weren't hitting in the minor leagues.
Right.
It makes you wonder, there's been some talk about Jack's issues, maybe pitch selection more than anything, pitch identification more than anything, I should say. And so you wonder, with a swing that looks like that, the pitch he swung at wasn't a good pitch to swing at, though. It was kind of high.
Not. Yeah.
So you wonder, if you could fix some of that pitch identification stuff for him, maybe he can do better.
Maybe so.
We'll have to see.
That we will.
But who you got number 7, Jacob?
So number 7, I'm going with a 2025 draftee who unfortunately we did not see debut this past year, but I'm pulling something from TJ Stats, and I'm investing in the power potential here, and that is former Troy backstop Brooks Bryan, who was the Royals' 8th round pick this
He's my
past
favorite
summer.
guy in the draft, right? That I picked him because he has the alliteration. He's obviously a superhero.
Exactly. And truth be told, hold on. I don't want to jinx it yet. I'll see who you have at number 8. I'll
I
bring that back up
guarantee you
later.
haven't even looked at this guy.
All right, I look forward to that. Brian is, I think he is very similar to in the fact that he's a power over hit sort of guy. He has a very, in college, he had a very fall into it swing, if you will. He got his whole body behind it. He had a very good collegiate stint in Troy. He did have strikeout concerns at that level, but he was still a well above average bat for his level. Baseball America had him just outside the top 100 in the draft prospects, had him at 135. The Royals got him at 248th overall. So we'll see what they can do with him. There's a lot of power in the bat, and he can stay behind the plate. He has an okay arm from my understanding. I'm not sure how the framing is, and he might not develop into much, but he does have some tools that you can build upon and see a potential major league backstop in Brooks Bryan. All right, so who's your number 8? Who you got?
Brooks probably should have been my number 8, but I wanted to highlight this guy.
Okay.
I teased him, and
Yeah.
you've been trying to get me to tell you who he was.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell you. I'm still vamping here to build a little bit more tension, and I'm going to say this name, and you're going to go, what the heck are you talking about, Jerry? Eli Marrero. No, not that Eli Marrero.
What?
Eli, not the former Cardinal who turned into an outfielder. This Eli Marrero comes via the Red Sox. He was a 2018, I believe it was, 8th round draftee by the Red Sox.
Okay.
He elected free agency after last season, and the Royals signed him and shipped him to Omaha. He is a switch hitter who has hit at every level.
Okay.
And he was injured for good chunks of last year, didn't hit when he was healthy. So, I have no idea if he can catch. I didn't look up video on anybody because I'm, perpetually unprepared. I like to just make stuff up as I'm going, but he's a switch hitter who's hit well at every level. How old is he? He's not young. He's not a real prospect. He is 28 years old. And you spell it Elih Marrero. And I'm like, oh, that's a weird guy right there. That he's hit a little bit. He's a catcher. He's suck at catcher all the way to AAA. He was once well regarded enough to be taken in the first 10 rounds. I mean, 8th round isn't like a high draft pick by any means, but it ain't nothing either. And I don't know, maybe you unlock a little something with him. Maybe he gets an opportunity with the Royals he couldn't get in Boston, and maybe he turns into something. I don't know. He's just a guy that I looked him up. I was like, who the heck is this guy on this Omaha roster who didn't play for the Royals last year?
I like
and I
that.
was like, oh, I love a switch hitter. I love a guy who shows the ability to hit all through the minor leagues, especially as a catcher. Interested. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, might as well.
Probably will never see him in the Royals uniform. Probably will never think about him again. But for today, Eli Marrero, I'm interested.
All right. Yeah, that is a pretty deep dig there, Jeremy. And that's why you folks should listen to more of the podcasts, huh? We like to dig deep here. I really thought you were gonna pull out like if we were making a all name stat like rankings of this, there's a top pick that we did not bring up on this. And it's Canyon Brown. Like,
oh yeah, that's a great name. I didn't see him either.
That is a great name. Stats aren't great, but that is a great name. That is a great name.
I also just love because I feel like he fits right in with the who's on first and is behind the plate. Who's behind the plate? What? What do you stop thinking and start talking?
No, who's on first and is at the plate. So it's weird looking at this sort of list and not having Freddie Fermin on it.
Yeah, a little bit.
I will say that he's been around for so long, but we also talk about a lot of these guys that have things to work on and, they can grow into this or they can come into that. I mean, we were talking about a guy like Freddie Fermin. That's how we were talking about him not too long ago. So just keep in mind that every one of these guys is going to turn into a big leaguer, but they can come out and surprise you in the right situation.
Yep.
Jeremy, anything else on this, on like how, well,
We didn't
before we get
talk
to
about the
reviews.
playing time split between Jensen and Salvi. Do you want to hit
Yeah.
on that real quick? What do you think the split should be?
At catcher specifically, I would say I think it needs to be primarily Jensen. I want to give it like a 60-40. That's kind of where I want it to be. Most of that from Jensen coming later on in the season, because I think you can start the season off with Perez catching the lion's shares of the games. But as the season goes along and as the bumps and bruises start to mount up, you want to preserve him for as long as you can. So that's why you start Jensen behind the plate.
I think a little 50-50 would probably be okay.
Okay.
Just because that way neither of them is catching that much. Neither of them has to catch 100 games. Get some DH games in there, some first base for Sal,
Yeah.
some left field for Carter. No, I'm kidding. No, don't do that.
Please
to him.
don't. Please
Don't turn him
don't.
into MJ Melendez.
Oh, God.
But that way, wear either of them down, and they're both feeling pretty fresh as far as catchers go when you get to the end of the year. I think that could work.
I think it could as well.
If you do lean one way or the other, Carter should catch more.
Yeah. And that's just that's not saying Salvi should see less plate appearances or be in the lineup less.
I expect the DH and catcher slots to be occupied by both of them in one order or another every night.
Right. But I cannot stress what you said, Jeremy, enough. I want to see some Salvi at first as the lineup can support it. I don't want to see Jensen in the field anywhere else than catcher. Don't tinker with him at first. Don't tinker with him in left field. Don't do none of that.
He's not Jonathan India.
No,
We can't afford to do this.
No, he's not a fielding savant who can translate to anywhere on the field like that. I don't know. I think one of the bigger what ifs from the Royals organization over the past 5 years is what if MJ Melendez never moved from catcher?
It's a question.
It is a question. We'll never have the answer to it, but I still believed in the bat. I believed in the potential of the bat, and that potential was producing at the plate in the minors when he was a catcher. And it wasn't really producing once they started tinkering around with where he was playing at. But I digress.
Didn't they talk about moving him to left field to let him concentrate on hitting more?
I don't think so, because remember,
I thought that's what they said. I may be misremembering though.
A couple of years ago, I talked to his dad, who I think at the time was a coach. I don't think he's a coach anymore, but
Coach with the Royals.
No, he was a
okay.
coach down in Florida. He was a collegiate coach with Florida. I don't want to say a school and be wrong about it. But how he talked about Melendez learning left field was that it was a steep learning curve that he had to put in a lot of time and energy, and it didn't come easy to him. And I get it. You want players putting in hours, putting in reps and sets, but he just stressed it like this was not a natural move for Melendez. So I think that took away from him being able to adjust even more to the learning curve at the major league level, at the plate, that is. That's just my belief. Well,
do you think that could be impacting Jack Caglione?
I think it could. Yeah. That's why, and this is a rabbit hole. There was a little part of my brain that was when they were talking about, we want Vinny in Boston. We want Vinny in Boston. Well, if a deal to get the right guy gets it done, could you move Jack to first? And if you're getting an outfielder in the deal, you don't need to fill right field. That was just a fleeting thought.
It might have made sense, but they went and got Wilson Contreras instead.
Right.
And I'm just as happy to have Vinny. I still think Jack's going to figure it out. I'm not really all that worried about him.
No, I'm not either. And I wrote an article for the other site about this. Like, I'm not really raising any alarms until the trade deadline. Like I'm giving him I feel a healthy leash to start off. But we'll see how it goes. All right,
And they
Jeremy.
can give him plenty of days off along with Kyle Isbell if Lane Thomas is doing anything useful.
Right. Right. That's a good point. And we'll see how Hugh likes to play the platoon games. Get the best out of old Jack Caglione. All right, Jeremy. Let's so that is gonna do it for our catcher review discussion.
Who did you said was it 10 for you? Who was it 9?
Oh, 9 was another international free agent who's 21 years old.
Okay.
Yosemel Zwe is his name. Let me pull up his stats real quick. He's almost 22. He was an international free agent in the 2023 class. He hasn't gotten past the complex league, which is, one reason why I'm keeping him down so far. Hasn't grown a ton, but he does have good batting numbers, a 115 WRC plus in the Arizona Complex League is not anything too bad, but that comes with big strikeout concerns. Like in 2024, he had a 33% strikeout rate. 2025, he had a 29.3% strikeout rate, but couple that with the 14.6% walk rate, it's not bad. It is still a major red flag that I think could get worse as he goes up to low A. So I think you'll get a taste of low A this year, but I'm not expecting too much from him. Anything else, Jeremy?
I think that about covers it. Oh, we could real quick discuss the fact Michael Lorenzen signed
Yeah,
with the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah. I was surprised to see that, but hey, he got a good little deal from them, 1 year, $8 million. Good on him to keep, he's finding a new job and he's finding decent paydays with it. I don't think that ballpark is going to be kind to him because
No.
he had home run issues as it was.
Yeah.
And he go to the highest MLB stadium above sea level. It's not going to be good, but we'll see.
I think that we were chatting about it in the Slack, and somebody said, "Well, how many paydays does he have left?" And I said, "1, apparently."
Yeah.
I'm not sure he gets another after this.
I'm not sure he
his
does.
next deal is a minor league deal.
You think so?
Probably. Just because he's getting up there and he's not going to look good in Colorado. Not because I think he'll be bad, but
Right.
it's going to be hard for him to find someone. If Colorado was the only deal he could get now, and I have to think that if he had a comparable deal elsewhere where he would do better, he'd have gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
So if that's the only place that would pay him, I don't think anyone's going to pay him next year.
I don't think so either. He did. So here's the thing, how I view him differently right now. He had 2+, like you could say definitively, he had 2+ pitches in 24 and in 23 when he was an all-star. He had at least those that he could ride on. But the fastball was bad last year. At least had bad results. The changeup was not as good as it once was. And then also he was tinkering around with the sinker, and that wasn't a good pitch either. So it's like his slider was good, but you can't ride a pitch that you barely throw 12% of the time as a starter. Like that's not how you find success.
I hope he finds success anyway, but I don't have a lot of high hopes for him, unfortunately.
No, I don't either. Jeremy, I do have a quick review today on something that is not a movie, not a TV show, and not a book.
Okay.
You see what I have in my hand? You see it?
Dum Dum?
It's a Dum Dum. It is a Dum Dum. So for any listener out there who doesn't know what a Dum Dum is, it's the itty bitty little lollipops. They're perfect. The perfect flavor in my mind. I think they are. Perfect flavor of Dum Dum in my mind is the root beer Dum Dum. I love
a good one.
the root beer Dum Dums. I wish I could get these alone by the bag. I'm the crazy guy who gets the bag. We dump it into it. We have a little box for it, and I sift through looking for the root beer Dum Dums. Honey is kind enough to where if she finds them, she will put them in her purse and put them on my desk here. And I love root beer Dum Dums. She is just the best. I will tell you what, but I prefer that flavor. There's so many other flavors I know folks can prefer. So I would love to hear your favorite in the comments or on social media. Jeremy, what you got for a review? What are you mulling in that head of yours?
I will give you the first video game I got a platinum trophy for in 2026, which I actually got on New Year's Day, which was not planned. And then I got another one on the day after New Year's Day. So that was like,
Dang,
I
dude.
cannot maintain this pace. But I had those games almost done by the end of the year. You'll remember, of course, I mentioned Phoenix Wright. Or not Phoenix Wright, Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. I was trying to finish before the new year, didn't quite get there.
Man.
But the game I did finish on New Year's Day was Cuisinart, which I picked up because I'd heard it was kind of like Dave the Diver.
Okay.
Which Dave the Diver is you're a diver, do what kind of fishing is that called when you dive for the fishing?
Like the spear fishing.
Spearfishing. So you do some spearfishing, you cook some sushi, the vibes are immaculate. So Cuisinart, instead of fishing, you just go into dungeons. The dungeons were not as varied or as interesting. They weren't, of course, real animals, because a really pretty fish, for whatever reason, is more fun to shoot with a harpoon than it would be to attack a deer with a machete. So they're all like made up animals that you kill. And like, it was going for a cutesy, relaxing vibe, but the dungeons were harder and there was less of an exploration aspect to them as compared to what you would see in Dave the Diver. And the cooking minigame was more complicated, but also less fun. And the big thing that stands out against Cuisinart is that in a game like that, that's like, you got these roguelite dungeon crawls, and then you've got this kind of serving mini game, more than a cooking mini game, a serving mini game of like find recipes and then select the correct recipe and deliver it to the right person, but you don't have to like press buttons to chop the ingredients or whatever. Is like, the grind should gradually get less painful as you level up. Like in Dave the Diver, you get more powerful weapons as you level up. You get the ability to hire help to also serve the tables, to increase the speed of everything. None of that stuff is in Cuisinart. So the grind is just as hard. And also in Dave the Diver, like, you get the fishing farm where the fish just breed and you don't have to always go catch them in order to make more sushi. And if you need more ingredients, you got to go back to the dungeon and find them in Cuisinart. It wasn't a bad game. The mechanics were fine. It just didn't quite meet the standard I had set with Dave the Diver. So I was a little disappointed in it.
I gotcha. I'm sorry to hear that, but hey, it is another platinum trophy to add.
Yeah, I was so disappointed in it that I did literally everything there was to do.
You are a completionist at your core.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's why I had to quit World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that'll
it is impossible to complete that game.
It is.
At least with my skill level.
I certainly know with mine. Oh, all right, folks. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Royals Rundown podcast. We appreciate you joining us. I'm sure next time you hear from us, we'll have some more Royals news to talk about, and we will have another position to discuss review with you. So please subscribe or follow the podcast wherever you're listening to us at. Special shout out to our, believe it or not, our YouTube listening group, because I got 100 subscribers on YouTube, and the only thing I post there
we have a YouTube
podcast. Yeah, I guess so. I guess we have a YouTube now, Jeremy. But shout out to y'all for reaching the century mark there. I appreciate that. So, all right, folks, we're going to head on out of here. I'm Jacob Milham, there, Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, go Royals.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.